North Node.
When the 5-element prayer becomes without thought, when it's so
Yeah.
ingrained, the beautiful thing is that what arises is the true understanding that you are not a stranger. You are not my student. You are not the host of this podcast. You are not even my sister. You are my twin.
Yeah.
And so your well-being matters to my well-being, and my well-being matters to your well-being. And as soon as I get that, then I no longer see an Israeli, a Palestinian, a Russian, a Ukrainian, a Republican, a Democrat, a conservative, a liberal, a Black person, a white person, an old person, a young person, a fat person, a skinny person. I see my twin.
Yeah.
And then there is really no choice
Yes.
to be in support of the peace and well-being for all of humanity.
Hi, I'm Paige Nolan. Welcome to I'll Meet You There, a place where heart-centered conversations are everything. Living what matters is the truest thing, and sharing the journey is the best.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today's episode brings a healthy dose of positive energy because my guest, Natalie Kuhn, is full of light. Natalie is a writer, teacher, artist, student, builder of businesses, poet, and creative thinker. She is a multi-hyphenate leader dedicated to living and helping all of us to live a life of aliveness. I crossed paths with Natalie nearly 10 years ago in New York City when I first discovered a workout experience called The Class, and Natalie was my teacher. The Class is this super unique, music-driven, cathartic method of movement, and it's designed to help you release stuck energy and feel better emotionally as you're being challenged physically, and it's very physically challenging. The Class was originally founded in 2013 by a woman named Taryn Toomey, and Natalie was employee number 1. The times I got to experience the Class were few and far between because there was no class at the time in Los Angeles, where I live full-time, and there was no class online. So when I visited New York, I always prioritized getting to the Class, and I loved it even more when Natalie was teaching. To be led by Natalie in movement, in breath work, in music, in awareness is a shot of wellness to your mind, your body, and your spirit. I always left Natalie's class dripping sweat and changed. Then in 2020, the Class launched an online streaming platform to meet the needs of all of us at home, and I got to work out with Nat all the time. Her playlists, her enthusiasm, and her wisdom kept me hopeful and moving through the strangeness of that year. And then outside of the workout, I always look forward to Natalie's messages on social media. Her musings are at once lighthearted, deep, and uplifting. Today's episode is actually the first time that Natalie and I have had an hour together in meaningful conversation. A little over a year ago, after 11 years with the Class, culminating in 2 years of being in the role of co-CEO, Natalie is on her own. She's doing a bunch of different things you'll hear her talk about today, and they are all connected to this overarching idea that the weather is the weather, but you make the sun. We talk about Natalie's journey to get to this point in her life, and that leads us into topics like creative expression, presence in space, burnout and how we can recover from it, the payoff of a consistent practice, evolving faith, and the 5-element prayer Natalie uses that she says inevitably leads us to be in support of the peace and well-being for all of humanity. Natalie shares so much insight in this episode. She is on a mission to empower each of us with tools to meet our circumstances and to show us how to spark and sustain presence in our everyday lives. Natalie seeks to fulfill this mission in every aspect of her life, including this conversation. I know y'all are going to enjoy and learn from her perspective. Enjoy this time with the bright light of Natalie Kuhn.
Okay, Nat, you will get a kick out of this. So sometimes I'm running late. Unfortunately, I hate to admit this, but I am running late sometimes for my own podcast where I'm like rushing around. And today I was very centered. I knew I was talking to you. I have done the class with you more times than I can count. And so I have this set up and my laptop is on 3 books. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Dictionary, Bible, Course of Miracles, and right next to me, David White.
Stop it.
So
Did you do this on purpose? Did you do it on purpose? Okay.
Prepared for you.
Yes,
I prepared. I picked my angel card. I'm like, I'm embodied.
God.
I want to start with Make the Sun. And I'm so happy to see you and to bring you to my community, and we're going to have fun. So let's start.
I just feel like I got a hit of dopamine and serotonin. I just got slammed by good vibes. Thank you, Paige.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
good. So tell us about Make the Sun. Tell us about the platform.
Yes.
Where you are right now. You know, sometimes I start with somebody's childhood, but I really thought about this with you. I want to start right where you are because you've got some cool things going on. And I think Make the Sun actually just that as a platform and like what that means and the invitation of that is interesting to me. And then we can pop around and go where we need to go.
Yum. Okay. Make the Sun. Well, Make the Sun really started with this radical idea that the weather is the weather, but you make the sun.
Yeah.
And the truth of that is that we don't get to choose our circumstances, no matter how much we wish we could.
We really wish we could.
But the good news is we do choose how we meet them.
Yeah.
And that's the central tenet to everything that I do, whether it's offering a development workshop or a speaking, offering to teams or to audiences, or writing via my Substack, or hosting retreats, or leading something that I call Sun Service. It's all under this umbrella of Make the Sun, which is tools to meet your circumstances, not only well, but with a sense of aliveness and vitality.
Yeah.
And, you know, it matters to me, and I brought it into fruition because I, along with many others, have felt that magnetism toward numbness, that hypnosis of life's pressures that seem to kind of bring us into black and white thinking or black and white feeling rather than that technicolor, right? And I too have been faced with life's grievances and even horrors, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And this became a way of saying, we don't have to wait for the light to be delivered to us in a wrapped up box with a bow.
Yeah.
We can actually cultivate it and create it. And so these tools that I share, workshops, poetry, breathwork, contemplative practice, movement, rituals, they're all ways to spark and sustain that bright, empowered presence in you that is never just for you.
Yes. Oh,
because
that's so good.
it is for you, it is also for your nearest and widest communities.
Yeah. Tell us about a time, maybe it was earlier, when you needed a tool and didn't have a tool. Like where does this start for you, where you've been passionate about personal development? I know you were like that, like me, from a young age. I think that's just, seeking creativity, all the things early on.
Yeah.
But can you point to past pain where you were like, I don't know how to get out of this? And so you started finding your tools early on?
Can you imagine if I was like, no?
No, as I'm asking that, of course.
No. Yes. And it really is like, how deep do we want to go with this? We'll just jump off the deep end. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
the truly earliest memory that I have of meeting pain is actually, my mom, bless her heart and bless her soul. She was I feel so lucky to have had her as my mom. And, she really suffered in her relationship to pain, so much so that she began using pain medication and became addicted to it.
Yeah.
And so from a very early age, she really was anesthetized to pain. And the way that I obviously I didn't know it consciously,
right.
Subconsciously and unconsciously, it drove me into performance and theater. And I found that once I wore a costume, I
Oh,
could
yeah.
grieve and I could be angry and I could have all of these experiences, the full
Yeah.
canon of my humanity. That wasn't the tone in my house. The tone in my house was, let's make sure that mom doesn't experience pain or else
Yeah.
she'll use. And then eventually that costuming that allowed
Yeah.
me to feel my full essence led me I danced for rock bands. I did theater for a long
Yeah.
time. And then eventually the connection that you and I have is
Yeah.
this practice called the class. And the
Yeah.
class was my way of taking off the costume and
Yeah.
leading others to meet their pain in a healthful way and in
Yeah.
community. And so now I continue that lineage of sort of healing where my mom left off, into now I feel actually quite naked, and I feel like pain is
Yeah.
actually a dance partner, and
Yeah.
I'm able to help others hear the
Beautiful. Yeah.
music so that they too can make a dance partner of their difficulties.
Yeah. So movement was a tool early on. I mean, movement
Yes,
and expression. Because when I
expression.
think, well, I felt like what we're referencing is when I have done the class both in person in New York City when I would travel there more often before COVID, and then online. So that's
Yes.
the experience that I've had. Is the class really helped me through COVID and being inside and very limited. And that word comes up a lot in the class.
Through theater, I guess, elementary school, middle school, and high school, all of my theater training actually had a very rigorous physical training in the background of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was learning to come into the body and discover the character from the ground first. And
Okay.
then the
Yeah.
words were meant to meet that intelligence. So, whether there's a walk that the character has,
Yeah.
or the way a character might express something physically. And then that was furthered in my college experience. I went to NYU, which is part conservatory, part
Okay.
humanities, I suppose. And I learned so many different physical techniques. There's something called Suzuki and viewpoints and committed
Yeah.
impulse and Laban. So I studied a lot of different techniques that were all about expressing emotion through physical technique.
Yeah.
And then by accident, I became a dancer for rock bands in my
No
20s.
way. Did you tour?
I did. It was so
No
fun.
way. Like what kind of
Yes.
bands? Like heavy metal
The
bands, pop
the
bands,
one,
just
can you
rock and
imagine?
roll?
The one that most people recognize is David Byrne from the Talking Heads.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
spent a year with him on
No
tour
way. I
as one
love
of
that.
3 dancers for,
So
there's actually a
cool.
rockumentary made of it if anybody wants to watch it.
Great. We'll put a link. We'll do that in the show notes.
Yes. And it was the first time, some people would call it contemporary dance. I would call it
Yeah.
just weirdo expressive dance. There's no genre. You can't put David into a box, so why would I
Yeah.
put the dance into a box? But we were 3 of us. One was a ballerina, one was a modern dancer, and one, I'm looking at myself, had
Yeah.
0 dance training at all.
Wow. And did you have to audition?
Sure did. It was like a chorus line. You had to have a number on your chest and the whole 9
Wow.
yards. And I was like, I was as shocked as anybody to hear
Yeah.
that I got it, because I'd never taken a formal dance class in my
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any technique. I could barely touch my toes, but I did make him laugh.
Yeah.
And David was really looking for personalities with a lot of idiosyncrasy, the weirdos of the world. And so,
Yeah.
and then from
You
there,
got it. You fit in.
I got it. I nailed that one. And then I ended up working with the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, which is a punk rock
Oh, yeah.
group with Karen
I
L.
like them. Yeah.
She ended up doing a punk rock opera
Wow.
at
And
St. Anne's
staged it
Warehouse.
in New York? Did it play in New York?
It played in New York first, and then we
Uh-huh.
at St. Anne's Warehouse, and then we took it to the Sydney Opera House. And so I
Amazing.
learned, I traveled the world I saw the world through the lens of David Byrne and Karen O, really.
Yeah.
And it's a very specific way to see the world. It's full of curiosity.
Yeah.
It's full of eccentricity,
Yes.
and it's full of authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's really my entire 20s was in that realm.
Yeah.
And it was in an odd job in between gigs that I met Taryn, who was kind of in the throes of figuring out what this thing is that was moving through her. And she was doing it in the gym of her apartment building
Yes.
when we met. And so that was back in 2013. And then, 12 years later, there's so much that happened. Yeah.
When did the class become the class where it had a website and you had to sign up for it?
Yes.
Not the class online, but like, what was that
Right.
iteration of you moving into a classroom with people who were enrolled and taking it?
Yes. I remember the day that Taryn told me, I think I'm going to call it the class.
Yeah.
And that was in June of 2013. And the website launched in September of 2013. And I remember us looking at those original photos that were, that Jamie, this wonderful photographer and human being, Jamie Baird.
I remember this because the photography is so amazing. And I remember being like, who is Jamie? Like, love photography, so it's really captivating. She's really talented.
And the Jamie Taryn combo is really beautiful. They've got a great sisterhood, and they both have excellent eyes for style and grace. And so I was lucky enough to cross paths. I really do feel that it was designed. I feel like it was karmic almost. I think Taryn and I and JC Gossett, who's really the third OG kind of founding member, if you will, or founding teacher, I should say. There was a real kind of spiritual destiny, I think, for the three of us to come together and
build it. I mean, you built it.
And build it.
Yeah.
And build it. Yeah.
I was only here and there in New York early on, but I was tracking it because I was interested in it because it, when you take the class, you feel the arc of it. That is the beauty of it. It still exists, by the way, for people listening. It's just Natalie's gone on to make the sun. So this is all part of the journey.
Yes.
You guys can check it out. But there's an arc to the approach to it. It's very intentional. Music is a huge part of it. So it makes total sense to me now learning that you are on stage dancing and so deeply connected to music and expression.
Yes. And the three of us each had a very different relationship to music and spirit and movement. And so us all coming together really was three different angles around the same central axis in some ways. And I learned so much from Taryn. I learned so much from JC. And I hope I provided some unique angle for them too, I hope. But it really was a wonderful cauldron. Yeah. That still, that really, I was there for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Because of my profound belief that the method really does work. That more people can find their ways into their bodies, the better off we all are. And now my work is just, it's still rooted in that same belief, but taken on a different expression.
Yes. I have a couple other questions and then I want to get to that next pivot.
Yeah.
One I have is about, did you step into the class with the level of comfort that I have experienced from you as you are guiding us in the class, and then you have these things come out of your mouth that are these invitations to internal space. Okay. Like I didn't even know I had a body until I had twins.
Paige. I'm obsessed with you.
So, I mean, just, you made it to me, so natural leading, so disarming leading us, so I'm doing the burpees, wanting to die, which is burpees is a big pillar of the class. But then you're saying these things that are inviting me just really in this most gentle but compelling and also kind of convicted way into choosing. I get a choice. Do I have to do burpee number 10? And I'm like, fuck, Natalie. Yes. now I'm doing 11 and 12 because of you.
Right.
So what was the arc of finding that voice, or was it so natural for you early on that you were just like, this is my jam?
Gosh, no, honey bunny. It took a while. I mean, who's to say, but it definitely took me a while. I remember, you know, there was no teacher training when
Of
JC
course.
and
Yes.
I joined in, right?
Yes.
I remember saying to Taryn, I'd love to set up your class in exchange for taking it. And then I'm going to go away and I'm going to write down what I think happened. And then I'm going to go teach it to my girlfriends and rent a studio for $6 in Greenpoint. And every Sunday, I'm just going to drill it until I can show you what I think you're doing.
Yes.
And
can I just interject that I'm giggling because I so relate to, I'm going to go write it down.
I'm going to go write it down.
I'm going to go write, and then I'll know what happens. And then I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah. Those so notes, I was like, I literally drew stick figures, I didn't even know the names for certain things. So 6 months after that, I said, I think I'm ready for you to come take my class. And that class was horrible. I was off the beat. I was using really terrible music. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I'll believe you. I trust you, but it's hard to imagine.
I mean, it was a real prayer, let's say. But bless her, Taryn took a chance on me. She saw something in me. I felt something in me. I just really needed time and trust. And that's what she gave me. And I think it took a few years, if I'm honest. Okay. And then when I moved to LA, which was family driven, it wasn't through the class, but I ended up expanding the class to LA because of that move. Yeah. I had another teacher named Allison McLee-Wolper, and she was somebody else who refined my ability to, and this term, I even roll my eyes using it because it's been so overused by the wellness industry, like the industry of wellness, but hold space. I remember she came to take my class and she said, you're not ready to teach to 100 people, but I know how to get you there. Wow, and she took me under her wing.
Yeah. And what was the difference? Just the level of presence?
The level of presence, but also the ability to be expanded enough in myself and in my awareness to take in the back of the room and the sides of a room. And this is true for the boardroom as much as it is an audience of 100, right? If you can go into a boardroom or a team meeting or an all hands and you can get a sense of the body that is the organization, the organism that is the organization, which is to say one person cannot make it happen. The organism needs each of its members, its parts, its legs, its arms, its organs. Then you can get a sense of how to steer the ship and how to not leave anybody out.
Yes.
So
do you find that people are receptive to this? I know you're working with leaders, you work with organizations. Yeah. Is this something that transfers, from something that is a very physical, people are doing the class or some of these other embodied experiences for physical health. And now you're going in and consulting with a leader. Can they understand in today's culture of leadership? Are you making a difference? Are you being received?
It's so fascinating, Paige, because I work with big organizations like Google and Virgin and Newell and Worldwide Tech, and they have heard the words change, trust, breath work, emotional intelligence, intuitive thinking. And so there's some part of them that says, I know my team needs this. I'm not totally sure how or why. So I'm going to take a chance and say yes to whatever this is. When I come into their spaces, which is usually a conference or an offsite or some kind of a summit, now I'm leading them through the workshop or the practice, and immediately it's, deer in headlights. They're like, oh, What do you mean move my body? What do you mean breathe
Yes.
deep? And there's a real
Yeah.
panic that starts off
Yes.
because to actually take a deep breath is to come into a level of vulnerability that is not typical, familiar, or even accepted.
Yeah.
And
That,
it
by the way,
means,
that makes me want to breathe. I'm
yeah,
like, we should just
I,
breathe for a second. I
I
mean,
took a deep breath myself.
it's so true. Not accepted. Okay. Tell me more.
When the beautiful thing that I learned specifically through Alison McLeay Wolper and many of my teachers that I met
Yeah.
along my 30s is that if you can speak to what is happening in someone's head, then they're more likely to trust you
Yeah.
and try it. So generally
Yeah.
I'll name what I can hear people thinking,
Yes.
and then they'll drop some or at least an inch of the depth of their resistance.
Yes.
And maybe there's a slightly deeper breath. And then by the end of the facilitation or the workshop, there's a real sense that transformation happened, something
Yeah.
shifted in the
Yeah.
room, and it will always be for the good, the higher good.
Yes. Yes.
So there's something that pulls the organization toward the experience, and then they leave with a deeper understanding of why.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think the thing that is missing is the word presence? Is it the experience of being fully present to our teams, to each other, to what it means to be a part of a group?
I I would even expand that
Yeah.
community and say the thing that is missing is presence.
Wow. Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
Everything, whether it is, they say it's the three marriages: work,
Yeah.
relationship, and self.
Yeah.
The thing that is missing in work, in relationship, in the way that we look in the mirror is deep,
Yeah.
profound, loving, kind presence.
Yeah. So what grew in you as you were realizing that you might change and leave the class? You moved into leadership. You did the co-CEO thing. You moved to LA, family motivated.
Yep.
What were you becoming more present to as you were feeling that? Because no one, in my experience, no one changes that big of a move. You're 11 years, you've built something incredible. It's
Right.
thriving. You've made such an impact.
Right.
What are you becoming present to in your life? Maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe
Right.
it's just your own self-awareness of how you want to show
Right.
up and what you want to experience. You're a builder, was it, I'm going to go build something else? Or talk
Right.
to us about that lead up to that and that choice.
Thank you. The last year that
Yeah.
I had the privilege of being co-CEO at the class, I was also caregiving to my fiance who had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
And there is no playbook for
Yeah.
caregiving and leadership. Well, there's no playbook for either. There's certainly not one for both at the same time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I had to keep all the plates spinning. And I know probably many of your listeners can relate.
Yes.
There is a
Yeah.
season of our lives where our job is to keep the plates spinning.
Yeah.
And what started to happen was that even though I needed to keep them spinning, I was keeping them spinning.
Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. I think there are a lot of heads nodding right now listening to that. We
the
are plate
reality
spinners
is
around here.
I had to
Yeah.
keep them spinning.
Yeah.
But the psychosis or the suffering was that I was keeping them. I mean, I was really
Yes.
gripping onto
Yeah.
the notion that I had to keep it all up. And one of the stories I often tell is that I had to find an apartment very quickly, almost overnight, so that we could begin treatment.
Yeah.
And if I were really in my body, if I had been truly present,
Yeah.
if I hadn't been lost in my terror,
Yeah.
then I would have been able to accept the fact that I just needed to get an apartment. I just needed to find an apartment,
Yeah.
which is a high goal, but also an attainable one, right? But instead, I didn't fully accept it. I didn't fully allow for that to just be what needed to be done. Instead, I was gripping in fear and in
Yeah.
rage and in desperation that I was finding an apartment.
Yes.
Like going
Yes.
Cujo on this thing.
Yeah.
And so my circumstances were difficult, but
Yeah.
I added difficulty on top of difficult.
Yes. Yes.
And that's really when you suffer.
Yeah. What did
So,
that look like? Just the pace? Are you moving at a fast pace? Are you?
I mean, fast pace,
Yeah.
rigidity, don't get in my way,
Yeah. Cut
give it
off.
to me, I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Just so, just kind of blinders on and blocked. My heart was
Yeah.
just locked. And it's not, I don't recommend it.
But here's my question about that. Like,
Yes.
and you and I both have a practice. We both do, we walk our talk, like, so we're doing all the things. Is there a way ever to bypass some of that? I don't think there is. Like, I think that you going through that
Had to go
is
through it.
part of the deal. Like, and I do
Had to
that
go
all the
through
time
it.
with myself. Like, I'm no intellectually, once I get on the other side of something, it's like, why was I that anxious? Why did I have to be that anxious? Because I run a little anxious. So I'm like, I have all the tools. I have a million books behind me on anxiety.
Right.
I've helped hundreds of people through anxiety.
Right.
So I have to, and I'm asking you this, if this is where you end up, with the acceptance that part of the human experience is right next to the limits of like what you can understand, practice, transcend, whatever. So is that how you take it?
She's preaching now. She's preaching, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. You named it. I mean, I really do think I do subscribe or ascribe to the notion that things are happening for us.
Yeah.
And I think that in order for me to really understand how to work with my anger, my grief, and my identity structure, that I have to be the one and nobody else can help me do it, I had to go through that crucible. And on the other side, it's an unsustainable identity structure, right?
Yeah.
So I had to go through that for the course of a year, the season of a year, to break down enough in order to break through that identity. And so there was a part of me, I think the first part of that path is that some part of you is dying off.
Yes.
And so we feel that sense of fear. Well, God, who am I if I'm not the one who handles it all the time and in exactly this way?
Yeah.
And then as that part of me was dying off, there was another part of me that was arising, which is, in order for me to grow, I actually have to leave.
Yeah.
And I needed the part that the identity that was coming to a close to be so in my face.
Yes.
To be so loud that I'd finally heard it.
Yeah.
And in the wake of that voice booming, another voice was starting to be heard as a whisper, which is, it's time to leave.
Yeah. And has you been able to integrate that? Like, is this new relationship to accepting what is and how you manage the stress of what is? Has that evolved? Has that changed in a consistent way?
Definitely has evolved. And I would say that I'm much more, I will say that it's not that I never experience the anxiety of change or the fear of the unknown. It's that I've gotten better at returning faster.
Yes.
So, and that's really it. It's not that it doesn't ever happen. It's just that I get to come back to neutral with more frequency and with more
Yes.
ease.
Yes.
And that's the gift of that's the payoff of practice.
Yes. That's so beautifully said. I think that is one of my biggest lessons, life lessons, spiritual lessons, adulthood lessons. And the therapist who introduced me to that, this beloved man named Greg, who I reference all the time to my clients. I don't know if I've talked about Greg on the podcast yet. I'm sure I have. And he called it the rate of recovery, because I felt like I really started doing real personal development at age 38. So I have all this stuff kind of, interest in it. My mom was a therapist in my high school and college years. So I had all this exposure and love reading all about it. But to really put it into practice and really change and understand was from 38 to 43. I worked with him real consistently. And that one idea that you just articulated so beautifully was so massive for me, because I thought I could just achieve it.
Right.
If I know these ideas, I can achieve practice.
Yeah.
You practice.
Right.
You don't, it's hard to unwind that
practice.
achieving things. Like a practice is a practice.
Right.
And that I thought that I would get to a point, especially around 40, because that's such a big, and now I'm 50, these 0 years.
Yep.
I thought at 40, I'm an adult. I won't feel pain. I'll have it all. I'll know who I am.
Right.
That's where the shit starts.
Paige,
in a good way. I know you're.
I have just turned 40. I guess
in a good way. You did it though. You were doing it because you had to go through cancer with Kevin. That was a big thing in your 30s.
It's a biggie, but I think the saving grace is that I know that I'm just a baby in a 40-year-old's body.
Yeah. Aren't we all the baby in whatever age body?
Yes. And I'm fortunate now to actually be in relationship to that baby.
Yes.
And her tantrums, rather than letting her take the steering wheel and, drive without a license.
Yeah.
Bless her.
Yeah, bless her. Bless her. So you would say you've gotten more self-compassionate then. Talk to us about compassion. What is that like?
Yeah.
What is that? That's a big thing for my my personal journey, and also what I help people with. I think self-compassion is so essential, and it's so hard.
Do you know what? I read this quote the other day that was just a full mic drop, stop me in the tracks. Life won't be the same after. And it was, you don't have to burn out to show you care.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, that's
Goodbye.
So true.
And let me say it again.
Yeah.
Louder for the back. You don't have to burn out to show that you care.
Yeah.
I am this years old, figuring that one out.
Yes.
And I think that is actually what my 30s were about. And the harvest that began my 40s is that notion. And when I start to feel, because I do think burnout is the sign of a certain kind of an addiction, that there is an addiction to the care, the illusion of care that comes from being the one who can handle it.
Yes.
Yes. And to everybody out there, let me save you a lot of time and a lot of grief. You don't have to go down in a ball of flames to learn that one. You can catch it now. And now I feel like I see the road signs, whereas I missed them before. I was so concentrated on sort of getting to the destination of achievement, to use your word, that I missed the neon yellow signs that said slow down, road ends ahead, construction ahead.
I get it. Yes. It's autopilot versus choosing to fly.
Right.
Like I'm going to navigate this. I'm looking for signs. It's like you were saying your growth curve in the class with Allison's guidance, the awareness of the edges of the room, the awareness of the back of the room.
Yeah.
It's just, you get up there, you teach to the first or second row.
Right.
And then that's kind of our lives. We get up there and we're like,
it.
we got the first, the second, we're getting partnership, getting raises in our jobs, buying a house or whatever.
And of course, that
yeah.
external practice is in the internal mirror, right? Like the first person in the audience is my perfectionism. I can look you dead in the eye and we are going to get it done. But if I really start to soften my eyes and let my peripheral vision open, I notice that there is a young girl sitting in the fifth row all the way to the right who is very, very tired, and she's hungry and she hasn't slept, because generally speaking, these are the very basic human needs that we ignore.
Yes.
And I've learned to be like, oh, little Natalie, let me give you a snack.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that is what that part of my world in my 30s was all about, where I started to see not just the identity structures that made me feel safe and relevant.
Yes.
And worthy.
Yeah.
But I started to become aware of the identities, like what it means to not hold on to any of them.
Yes.
to see the room full of all my identity structures, all the archetypes, all the versions of myself, and then actually to take in the walls, or to take in the sky, or to take in something much larger, a wider horizon, a broader horizon than these little myopic parts of myself. And that has created so much joy in my life, and so much ease and gratitude.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that as soon as I see myself gripping and getting into that single point of focus, and it's only the road ahead, it's not the mountain side to the left or the ocean to the right. That's where I go, girlfriend, we gotta stop, collaborate, and listen.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So is there a practice for that now? You mentioned earlier you were so into the class 11 years, and then you mentioned or you referenced, okay, I've had a total shift. So I want to get into what that shift is professionally for you and how you're thinking, but is that also a shift in the practice? Like you used to do the class 5 days a week, I would imagine, or how you were teaching, you were practicing the class.
Yeah.
So what does that look like to be embodied now? What is that moment where you're like, okay, I'm stopped. I've paused. I've tuned into my inner life. Is there a practice around that? And then talk to us about where you are now away from the class with what the philosophy and the point of view there.
The most immediate practice that I use every couple of minutes is this sounds cuckoo, but I locate my belly button.
Oh, I love
which
that.
is to say,
I would have, by the way, no idea where my belly button is right now. So this is good. Walk me through it. What do I do?
So right now you might just place one of your hands on your belly button, and then physically now you've located the center of your being, and also the space from which you take a real breath, right? We take shallow breaths up in our chest and in our throat, and shallow breaths physiologically create anxiety. So if we were to bring our hand to our belly and physically locate our belly space, it actually brings a somatic awareness to take a belly breath.
Okay, if you're listening, y'all can do this with me, because I'm actually doing this while Nat is explaining it.
And you don't even have to press your belly out. You simply need to ask your breath to fill that space.
Okay.
And your hand is the one that receives it. So your words were push my belly button out. And my words are let your hand receive your breath.
Yeah.
And when I do that, you can feel when I let my breath deepen into the bowl of my hips and fill the space of my belly, there is a sense that my mind is now coming into my belly, which I could say my intellect is dropping into my intuition.
Okay.
And I have more space to become present.
Yeah.
Presence and space in many ways are the same thing,
Yeah.
And when I am locked in a belief or a limiting thought or an emotion or a stress or a worry, whatever word you want to use for it.
Yeah.
If I just bring my attention to my navel, 9 times out of 10, it is drawn in and locked to my spine, which allows for no breath in the belly. So, wow, it makes me aware I'm breathing shallowly in my chest.
Yes.
And again, I'm going to just say it because the repetition is on purpose. A shallow breath creates anxiety.
Yeah.
And anxiety creates a shallow breath. A deeper breath will create a sense of space, and a sense of space will create a deeper breath. So it's all interwoven.
Yeah.
And when I can take a deeper breath, and I do this with my current team, creating the new company that I'm helping to build. I do this on stage. I do this in the bedroom. I do this when I'm looking at myself in the mirror and saying horrible things.
Yes.
If I can actually take a deep breath, it gives me the space to consider another way.
Yeah. Do you exhale first? When I have shallow breath a lot. That really helps me, what you said about anxiety, because when I take the shallow breath and then I think to myself, oh, it's a shallow breath, it makes me more anxious. So what you just said, I have a lived experience of that. So that really resonates. Do you exhale first if you're in shallow breath mode?
Whatever floats your boat. I would say try it on like a sweater and see what fits.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're shallow breathing, it might be useful to exhale completely. Empty out.
Yeah.
Fill back up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's useful if you're shallow breathing to inhale completely so you can feel the grandness of your rib cage and then return to neutral. It really is not a one size fits all kind of thing.
Yeah.
It really is where your stress behavior has patterned itself physically.
Gotcha. Yes.
And where your physical behavior patterns have created a behavior.
Yes.
They are one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
The physical the physical body and our behaviors manifest each other.
Yeah.
So if I'm constantly with my shoulders rolled over my keyboard, I am emotionally protecting my heart.
Yes.
If I take a chance of rolling my shoulders back and I make that a point to every day, instead of, my thing's my navel, but if yours were to drop your shoulders down your back, your heart might lift, you might feel more open. And that might be a change you experience and embody in the world.
Yes. I love that. Okay, so take us from that. So the practice, we have your practice.
Yeah.
How is it so different from the class now? You're studying theology. You're making the sun. Like, talk to us about that big shift away from years and real 24/7 investment with the class, the burnout that you recognize. And by the way, can we just acknowledge burnout and make the sun?
Paige,
can we
never thought about it.
I was like listening and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gone from burning with just burning out
to a controlled light source. That's beautiful.
And that you're making.
I'm into it. Bless.
I'm into it too.
Thank you.
This is why I'm celebrating your journey. I wanted you here to share it with all of us because it's beautiful. But I didn't even realize that. I knew burnout was a thing for you. I've heard you speak about burnout, but to hear you really talk about it, I just wanted to pause on it because it's very cool. Your little soul is really guiding you in an unconscious but like light-filled way.
She
clearly
is. I love her. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, yes, my life is now. I was really so full on heads down, blood, sweat, and tears in this one source in my life. I'm
Yeah.
in many, I was married before, and in
Mhm.
many ways, the dissolution of that marriage was because I actually was married to my work.
Yeah.
And so this time around, I'm starting to learn more balance.
Yeah.
And I have 3 different tracks in my life. So one is I'm in interfaith seminary. So I'm
Yeah.
not learning one religious tradition, but actually I'm studying multiple
Yeah.
on a track toward ordination. So I'm 50% of the way there. I've got another year. And that's one track. The other track is Make the Sun, which is these different workshops and speaking and facilitation and writing. And then there's this other part that loves to build and loves
Yeah.
to create. And that part of me is the chief experience officer for a company that will be opening
Okay.
in January called Halen. And in time, I'll share more about that. We're still sort of in our IP phase of not sharing
Yeah.
too much, but
Yeah.
it's in London and it's using ancient techniques that have been around for thousands of years that help people return to themselves, come back
Yeah.
to their bodies, strengthen their bodies, but met with really modern technology. There
Yeah.
is a relationship to AI and kind of a cinematic
Yeah.
experience and an immersive experience. So I can't wait to, maybe if I am so gifted with the opportunity of a second episode with you,
Yes, I
we'll
love
get
it.
to that in a few
We'll
months.
get to that.
But yeah, so building that business is
Yeah.
lighting a fire that I'm
Yeah.
so happy to fan those flames of Make the Sun and seminary. And I'm realizing that having 3 different tracks fulfills so much of
Yeah.
me. And if I really look at the class, I was a teacher and I was on the corporate side. So there
For
was a
sure.
sense of using all sides of myself. And I think that's just innate in who I am. There's the artist side, and then there's this builder side.
So do you feel like studying faith has changed your faith? Has it strengthened your faith? Where are you on the faith journey right now? Share that with us.
It has expanded. How shall I say it? If faith were a house of different rooms,
Yeah.
I grew up in the room of Catholicism,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother was a nun, and all of her aunts and uncles on her side, on my mother's side, were, so I have 3 nuns and 2 priests on my mother's side. And the joke in the family is that we're all going to hell because they've all divorced God. They've all left the monastery. They've all left the nunnery and
Yeah,
the
but
priesthood.
you're going back to, you're going to heal generations from this, Nat. You realize, because you're going back to it in a way that's healthy and that you can heal all this leaving.
That's true. And you know what? I actually do believe that all 5 of them did have a healthy relationship to it,
Oh, that's good.
which is unique, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is because they were all raised by nuns and priests in boarding school. And that was kind of the thing that you did. And
Yeah.
they had a real commitment to spirit rather than dogma.
Yes.
And they had a real commitment to community service rather than self.
Yes. I find that with Catholicism, it can be so mystical. Like there's that whole branch of it or version of it that's really mystical. And I'm born and raised in New Orleans, which is a really Catholic city. And the level of civic mindedness in Catholicism is amazing. Like I am so inspired by that commitment to civility and being a part of the community and helping. So I've had that exposure to Catholicism.
Absolutely. You named it. And then the other side is also true, right? The twisting of the word.
For sure. And the guilt.
And the guilt and the othering and the violence that can also come. And it really is about what community do you fall into when you are in that, when it is faith as opposed to the industry of faith.
Yes. Yes.
Wellness versus the industry of wellness.
Yes. So did you ever practice Catholicism growing up?
I was baptized and I had my first communion, and I just said to my mom, like, I I don't believe in these stories.
Yeah.
And so why am I getting confirmed in them?
Yes.
And so, bless her heart, she allowed me to stop and release myself from
Yeah.
confirmation. And secretly, what I didn't know is that she was calling up my aunt, who had become Buddhist after she was Catholic. And
Yeah.
she came down the following weekend and handed me Thich Nhat
Amazing.
Hanh's Living Buddha, Living Christ. And it was the
Yeah.
book that was like, oh, my mom's not crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, everybody, and by everybody, I mean, Buddha, Jesus, Allah,
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
is just trying to guide you on a path of being a good human,
Yes.
which is to say, remembering that you're spirit.
Yes. Yes.
So I did dabble in Buddhism when I
Yeah.
was in the ripe old age of 13 to 15. And when it came to that magical moment of understanding minimalism, I said, not with my Dave Matthews Band poster. And renounced the whole thing. And that's when music really became my religion.
Yeah.
And then dancing for rock bands, it is a sense of communion. You are in communion
Yes.
in music with community, right? So
Yeah.
that became that. And then movement and music and all that is that practice of the class then was my spiritual practice. And after leaving that, and so let's just say that Buddhism was another room in the house, and then music was the kitchen. I started to realize that to study interfaith and interspirituality is to actually blow down all the walls
Yes.
and to arrive in a prairie
Yeah.
of sorts
Yeah. Yeah.
where we can put names
Yeah.
to the nameless, and we can put form to the formless.
Yeah.
But the real importance is to connect with that which cannot be named and that
Yes.
which is without form.
Yeah.
And that is now where faith is for me. It is a very private conversation with,
Yeah.
I will use the word God, but I will also say all that is.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
And I think one of the most important practices, because you asked about practices. So one is attention to my navel and my belly button, which I just like the word belly button better than navel. That's fine. The other one is something that I learned at seminary. It's called 5-element prayer.
Okay.
It's from New Thought, which was really a female-led form of faithful philosophy.
Yeah.
And the first step is to acknowledge that there is something beyond you, that this is not a nihilistic or solipsistic world. You did not create the tree, that there is some other organizing principle.
Yeah.
And the second is to acknowledge that you are not separate from it, that you and the tree are twins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are both breathing in some way, shape, or form. You're both alive. And the third thing is to state your business. So, and you state your business in present tense.
Yeah.
I am here to acknowledge the, whatever it is. Why are you praying? What are you calling in? What are you dreaming about? What are you hoping for? What's on your heart? What's in your soul's desire? And the fourth step is thanksgiving. Offer it all thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for where you are. Thanks for where you're just about to be. All of the things that had to collide for this moment. It's almost like a mathematical impossibility that this moment has occurred.
Yes.
And thanks be to breath in your lungs and clean water to drink. And I make a challenge of it to enumerate as many things I could possibly be grateful for within. I even set a timer sometimes, and it gets a little bit longer each day. I'm like, oh, now we're at 10 minutes. And then the fifth one is to let go. If you've ever been in recovery, you might say, let go and let God. But it's really to surrender, which comes from the old French, surrendre, to give over. So to give over oneself to the deeper river of life that is flowing, that you are simply a part of.
Yeah. What a beautiful balance to come from the class to this, and to bring it all into the sun. I mean, it's so, it suits, you're meeting the moment, I think, because what we need in this moment
is the universality. I mean, we have forgotten how universal and expansive, and to your word, prairie, I think of the word field. It's like we're all in the field together.
Yeah.
We're here beyond right doing and wrongdoing, you could say.
Yes.
But we need more leaders to be shining that light and to be holding harmony and communion and unity.
When the 5-element prayer becomes without thought, when it's so ingrained, the beautiful thing is that what arises is the true understanding that you are not a stranger. You are not my student. You are not the host of this podcast. You are not even my sister. You are my twin.
Yeah.
And so your well-being matters to my well-being, and my well-being matters to your well-being. And as soon as I get that, then I no longer see an Israeli, a Palestinian, a Russian, a Ukrainian, a Republican, a Democrat, a conservative, a liberal, a Black person, a white person, an old person, a young person, a fat person, a skinny person. I see my twin.
Yeah.
And then there is really no choice
but
to be in support of the peace and well-being for all of humanity.
Yeah. I have to bring him up because what you just said reminds me of David White. And maybe it's great that we're here because I have to be aware of our time, even though I could keep you all day. The recognition, maybe it's John O'Donohue really that talks about that, but they both kind of talk about that. Is this what you mean by that? And I know his work is one of the rooms in your house.
Yes.
Is it that recognizing that I recognize you, you are me, and that immediate sense of goodwill, and not even a sense of goodwill because you're not separate, but just the presence. I find his poetry to be so much about the presence, the space, the conversation, the recognition.
David White and John O'Donohue you are right, have been seminal in my development. And what they both talk about is meeting the stranger in you.
Okay.
And when you are able to meet the stranger in you with kindness and compassion, only then are you capable of meeting the stranger beyond you with the same compassion and kindness. And that it is, I actually interviewed him I'm also the editor at large for this magazine called Human Shift. It's a really beautiful magazine. And I opened by saying, David, you speak so much of the conversational nature of reality, which I understand as a dialogue between you and all things. And he said, when I say conversation of reality, I don't mean dialogue. I mean conversation, because it is all dimensional. It is with all parts of ourselves and all, it is actually a giving and taking, a listening and a receiving.
Yeah. We are going to tell our listeners where to find you. And this was such a treat to understand the rooms in your house, to understand what light means to you, to bring your light here, to share your light. We're going to tell people about Make the Sun. And I'm just so glad you're out in the world doing your thing. And I can't wait to see where your 40s take you.
Paige, thank you for this opportunity to be in conversation.
Yes.
Conversing with you in such a beautiful and profound way. Thank you to your listeners. And thank you for the work that you do of inquiring and co-creating with all of your guests to bring depth into the world and tools into the world. You're a delight.
I've watched Natalie grow and expand her life in so many ways over the years I've known her work. And our time together was extra special because she really does embody that shine that she encourages in all of us. Sometimes we make transformation too complicated. We think we need a big strategy and we gear up. It's going to be this massive call to action to change our lives. But Natalie reminds us, if you can take a deep breath, it gives you the space to consider another way. Being aware enough to take a deep breath, being aware enough to consider another way, that is exactly where transformation begins. It's that simple, but it's easy to forget that it's there. Coming back into the body and connecting with self is one of the most powerful tools we have. Natalie lives this practice and shows us that we don't have to be afraid of shedding identity structures. When we're changing, when circumstances are challenging, we will experience anxiety and fear. But if we can lean into our practice, be it movement, belly button breathing, prayer, dance, nature walks, authentic conversations, gratitude, whatever it is, the practice is where we find stability and recovery. I loved how Natalie described her faith as being a house with different rooms. I think that's a great exercise for all of us to consider our faith more deeply. What ideas occupy the rooms in your house of faith? Which rooms feel coziest to you these days? And when you think about how your life is organized, is there a way for you to spend more time in those comforting spaces? I admire Natalie's curiosity to visit the rooms in her house and the energy she has to explore and appreciate her faith. And then, of course, she generously opens the doors for all of us, so we may be inspired and add color and texture to the rooms in our house. Faith is a place of shelter, and people like Natalie make faith playful and inviting. That is a gift. Thank you, Nat. It was truly a joy to share this time with you. Thank you for offering your presence and your prayer, and of course, your practice. I think Make the Sun is a great name for what you're doing with your life, because we can feel your warmth and it is life-giving. I'm going to end our episode with some words written by John O'Donohue that made me think of you, and it's a hope I hold for each of us. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique, that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful, good, and eternal happening. Okay, y'all, that's it for today. Check out the show notes to learn more about Natalie and how you can connect with her mission and make the sun. And I will meet you here again soon.
Thanks to each of you for being here and for listening. I'm so grateful we get to share life in this way. As always, full show notes are available at pagenolan.com/podcast. There you will find a full summary of the episode, timestamps, and key takeaways, and any resources mentioned in our conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you would leave me a rating and a review. You can do that by visiting pagenolan.com/love. Your reviews really do help people to discover the show. And if you know someone specifically who would enjoy this episode, I'm so grateful to have you all share. I'll meet you there with your friends. Lastly, if you have any questions or comments, or if you would like to share any feedback with me, please email to meetmethere@pagenolan.com. I would love to hear from you. Thank you to the team that makes this show possible. Podcast production and marketing by North Node Podcast Network. Music by Boyd McDonnell. Cover photography by Innes Casey. Okay, y'all, that's it for now. I'll meet you there again soon.